Hi everyone, Edna Kimball, Edna Sells, and welcome to today's episode where we have Miss Laura Kuester.
Keister.
She knew I was going to say it wrong. You were ready. Everyone says it wrong.
Yes.
Keister, Miss Laura Keister. Well, Laura, like we were just saying before the camera turned on, we've ran in the same circles for a while now, and you are, what is the correct verbiage? You're the director? Okay, director at Help in Crisis.
Correct.
And how long have you been there?
So 6 years. I just hit my 6-year mark.
Okay, I think I went off the board just as you were coming on.
That's right.
Yeah, so we kind of crossed paths there. So, okay, so before you got with Help in Crisis, you were a local counselor?
Yes, I am a licensed professional counselor, and I worked in the mental health field for 20 years before I came on board with Help in Crisis. From everything from community mental health, group practice, and then my last probably 10 to 12 years I was in private practice.
Okay, so that was a good segue over for Help in Crisis.
It was different. When I was considering coming or even applying for the job, that was one of the things I thought was, with private practice, you can work as little or as much as you want, when you want, and was I ready to come to something that was basically I'm on call 24/7, and I'm, work every day and on the weekends, and so it was a big decision, but I knew that it was my next step.
Okay, and for those who are not familiar with Help in Crisis, can you explain to us what that is?
Sure. So we are a agency that serves survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. We are a nonprofit agency. We've been in existence for 43 years, which is amazing. Think about how different it was in 1980 versus today. We serve 4 counties. Cherokee, Adair, Wagner, and Sequoyah County, and we serve about 7,000 people a year.
I didn't realize it was that.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's definitely something needed in the community.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. And so let's talk about what that looks like. There is outreach programs, and there's a hotline, right? There's shelters. And then there's also just assistance for people who are just needing to talk, I guess. So kind of walk us through all of those different avenues.
Okay. It's pretty multifaceted. We have residential services, and then we have non-residential services. So residential would be for people who are literally fleeing for safety. They have nowhere safe to go. They don't have family or friends or anyone around here that can help them. And so we have emergency shelter. The shelter is located here in Cherokee County. We can house up to around 30 people at a time. It's staffed 24/7, and the average shelter stay is it's around 30 days, which is not enough, by the way. But it's something. It's a place to get. I kind of use the example of, it's like, when you go on a trip, your ultimate destination might be Washington, D.C., but you have to go to Dallas first.
Sure.
You have a layover.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the shelter is like. It's a layover. It's a place to collect yourself, kind of get a plan for how you're going to get from there to the next place. But during that stay, we provide all kinds of services. So case management, we connect them with counseling, substance abuse counseling if they need that, mental health services. Sometimes it's just like people are literally leaving with nothing. So they don't have a birth certificate, they don't have a driver's license, maybe they've never even had a job or never had their own money and had to manage money. So we're just helping them kind of get back on their feet and figure out where they are going to start.
And it's all facets, because there's everything from just an individual woman to a woman with newborns or children. And so you're providing basically shelter and clothing and food for all of these different.
Then the other services we have are more non-residential. So that would be for someone who had a safe place to go, but they still need help. They need help navigating the court system. They might need help getting a protective order and having someone go to court with them, peer counseling. We have a whole sexual abuse or sexual assault program. That's not a fun thing to talk about, but sexual assault does happen, and there are SANE nurses or sexual assault nurse examiners that provide those examinations, and then we provide all the follow-up from that, the counseling and support groups and interaction with court that survivor might need. So there's just so much. There's so much. We have a child advocacy center where we interview children forensically who have possibly experienced sexual abuse or witnessed domestic violence in their house. So a lot of layers.
Goes on and on and on.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, first off and foremost, thank you and everyone involved, because it's unfortunate that it's been needed for 43 years, but it is something that is needed and has helped so many people. And there's people here in the community and who have said, if not for, where would I be? And so I think it's an amazing program. So one of the things, obviously, because it's nonprofit, is about raising funds to continue this and support this. And you ladies have a lot going on over there. So
we do.
Yeah.
This month, the next 6 weeks are crazy busy with fall fundraising. Usually we don't try to do 2 in the fall, but this year, I had a bright idea. Me and my bright ideas.
Well, let's talk about some of the longest running. One of my favorite, Walk a Mile.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that program.
So Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is just a fun way to educate the community about sexual assault, about healthy relationships, about consent, and it's just fun to get the guys to come out, put on those red high heels, and walk a mile.
Literally walking a mile in heels.
Yeah.
It's hilarious to watch.
Down Muskogee Avenue, but it does also signify, like I'm going to be the example for my coworkers or my family or my children, and I'm not going to be part of that crowd that makes tacky jokes about women or is abusive verbally, physically, sexually in any way. So it's kind of multifaceted too, that it's educational, but it's also an opportunity to raise some funds.
Yeah.
And we are on our 12th year. This last year was our 12th Walk a Mile.
Okay.
So now everybody just looks forward to it because
And would
it's
you
fun.
say it's one of the larger fundraisers, or?
It was until a couple of years ago when we came up with the hike fundraiser.
Okay, that's the next thing we want to talk about. Tell us about that, because several of people that I just hold in high esteem have done that, and then I noticed that you actually did it last year. I was like, oh my goodness. So tell us what that looks like.
Okay, so in 2020, of course, we were all crazy with COVID.
Right.
And we weren't, that early part of 2020, we were not able to have Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. And that summer, our board was saying, I don't think we're ready to do anything in person in the fall of 2020. And so that summer I was like, man, what can I do that is creative, that wouldn't involve a large crowd, that people might want to support and get behind. And so I've always loved backpacking. I've always loved hiking. And so I pitched the idea to my husband, and I was like, what if I hiked the Ozark Highlands Trail? It's 164 miles total. What if I backpacked it and just, tried to get people to sponsor that journey? Nobody has to do anything but me. And he was like, okay, if you want to. And so my next step was
And have you ever done it before?
I hadn't done a through hike.
Okay.
So I had done lots of hiking, a little backpacking, but nothing. To cover 164 miles, it takes about 10 to 12 days.
Yeah.
And you literally take everything you need in your backpack.
and carry it out.
Yes. I mean, you're out there for
yes,
that
you do
long.
not leave anything behind.
Right. So I came to the board that summer and I was like, what do y'all think about this idea? And, you know, they all kind of looked at me like I was crazy. But then they were like, it's a pretty good idea, Laura. And one of my board members, Angela Ray, she said, well, if you're going, I'm going.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, hey, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
And so we began planning that backpacking trip. We had a couple of other ladies who jumped in and joined us. So there was a group of 4 or 5 of us that went out that November. We didn't accomplish 164 miles, but we had a couple of injuries, and we had a night that it was so cold that we woke up with
temperatures,
icicles. It was so cold, and we were like, all right, we're out. But that was 90 miles later and 6 or 7 days in. But I think it was such a new idea. And people were really engaged. We were sharing the story.
Yes, yeah.
The people were donating like $5 here, $10 here. And that year, we raised more money than Help in Crisis has ever made on any fundraiser.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like 6 digits.
Yeah, yeah. I remember there was just a lot of social posts, and you were talking about just your struggles, and I'm not sure which it was. It might have been Miss Schenkel, but someone shared the fact that this is something that I'm choosing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I can walk away at any point, and I have family who will come and pick me up, and
Yep.
and they related it back to the fact of why you're actually raising the money.
Yes.
There's so many women who do not have the option to say, "Oh, this is uncomfortable. I'm done,"
Mm-hmm.
and then have the support to move on. And I think that was. Because I was definitely just hitting that donate button. I was so enthralled with that. So
it is very similar, and a lot of times survivors leave with only the things they have on their back, and that's what we did. And we had to take one step at a time, and that's what we tell survivors on their journey. You can't think 10 years down the road. You can only think about this next 30 minutes or this day. And you just have to keep moving forward one step at a time. And that we literally told ourselves that out on the trail because it was very hard. The OHT is up a hill, down a hill, cross a river, up a hill, down, not a hill, a mountain.
A mountain, yes.
And it was very exhausting. So, but it was successful. And here's the thing though, last year we were like, we got to go try it again because we didn't complete it.
Oh, gotcha.
So, it was just our own selves. We were just like, we have to try it again. And so we made a second attempt, and that's when Deanna and a few others, Angie Retzloff, joined us. And
listen, those ladies.
Yeah.
They will carry you up the mountain.
Yes. In fact, Deanna carried my backpack at one point.
I'm not surprised.
And hers.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and she's,
she's superwoman.
Yeah. So, but we did it again last year and completed the 164 miles, raised even more money than we did the year before. So it was just an awesome opportunity. And I think people just really liked the fact that they could give to something that they knew. You knew 90 cents of your dollar was going to the services because there wasn't anything you had to pay for.
Right.
Yeah. So this year it's a little different. One of the things we've learned in the last couple of years is that people had said, "Oh, I'd love to do something like that, but I can't take off 2 weeks of work, or I can't do 164 miles." And so we decided we're going to give it one more try this year, but it's going to look different. We have different groups. So if you wanted to hike, you could join in on a 1 mile hike. You could go for a 4 to 5 mile day hike. And then we have 2 groups going out that one group's doing a 2-night overnight, and then one group's doing a 3 or a 4-night overnight, a backpacking trip. So it's been kind of fun because other people are signing up to go with us.
I love that, yeah.
And, a lot of great things happen around the campfire and a lot of good conversations. And we kind of felt like it would be a good opportunity to really talk about what we do and encourage other people to support our mission.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's going to be very popular.
I
Because
hope
it is
so.
correct. That's really hard to commit to 10, 12 days.
Yes.
And then also that's something that physically not everyone can do.
Right.
But maybe a couple of days that would work. So
Right.
that's amazing.
So it's been fun.
Okay, well, we can't wait to see. Now, what are the dates of that? Has it been set yet? or-
Yeah, it's November. We've got a couple of different groups going out the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then we have our groups that are doing the backpacking trips on the next weekend, which I think is the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of November.
Okay. We're going to definitely put the information below so that people can reach out if they're interested in joining you or sponsoring for
Awesome.
sure. Okay. And then we've got the masquerade ball.
Yes.
Yes. And I think that by the time this airs, we will have already had that. But go ahead and tell us because I want to build up some FOMO so that next year
Yeah.
they'll all jump on it.
It's looking to be the party of the year. I mean, in my opinion. We've done 2 masquerade balls. We did one in 2018 and we did one in 2019. So now this is the comeback year. It is going to be at the casino, October 13th. We decided to really, the goal of it really was just to provide a fun night. We don't have a speaker that's, going to talk for 30 minutes. We have entertainment. We have a magician. We have this whole group that's coming that is bringing aerialists who will dangle from the ceiling on the silks
Almost
and
like
flip
the
and turn.
Cirque du Soleil kind of
Kind of,
vibe.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, stilt walkers, jugglers. And then, of course, we have a DJ, our local DJ,
yeah.
Sean, who will play at 9 o'clock. Really good meal. But it's just kind of going to be a fun night. We're going to celebrate, the successes, the lives changed that have happened over the last 43 years. But more than anything, it's just going to be a fun night to get together.
Oh, great. And it is a great fundraiser if you're looking
Yes.
for almost like a Halloween party-esque kind of thing to
Yes.
go to. Now, this could be completely wrong, but did I hear that there's like fire twirlers that are going to be there?
So possibly, we're
Okay.
still waiting to get
I'm just
some of the
intrigued
approval.
by that.
Mhm.
Oh, right. I'm
Yeah.
sure the building, let's check the insurance before we bring in
Yes.
the fire twirlers. Well, I was a twirler back in high school.
Oh, okay.
Never did it with fire, but I'm willing to try, right? You get that insurance in place.
You never know, right?
That would be a whole another segment. Maybe not a fundraiser.
We might need
but-
to sell tickets for that.
That's true. Yes, there you go. Let's see if she
Edna twirls
catches
instead
her
of
hair
Edna
on
sells.
fire. So what are, obviously we've talked a lot about some of the ways that people can get involved is through donations. But if somebody wanted to just maybe make a donation that wasn't monetary, are there any things that the center or any of the other aspects are actually needing, or maybe time that someone could give?
Mhm. There's some things that we always need that, and we have a list on our website too that makes it easy to look
Perfect.
at. But
we will pop that down below then, for
okay,
sure.
so things like pillows, blankets, towels, of course, hygiene products, just the things that, we let people take their pillows with them when they leave, the things that are consumable.
Okay.
We don't really take a lot of clothing donations right now just because we don't have the room to
Sure.
store it.
Yeah.
So we keep a good collection for people like when they need to go for a job interview or in if they come in and have nothing, pajamas and undergarments and enough to get them started.
Right.
Luckily, we have a great relationship with Habitat, the
Yes.
re-rack, and so our clients get vouchers to go there.
That's
So
great.
we don't have to store the clothing. They can go to Habitat and get what they need.
Right. So if you had some gently worn or some new things with tags on them that you never fit into, that's my story. They could donate to Restore, knowing that that is going to help someone
Yes.
potentially.
Yes.
Okay, I love that. Yeah.
So that's as far as donations. We there are times that we need volunteers for different projects, especially like Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. We are always utilizing volunteers for that. We have a lot of college students that come and get their 20 hours
That's
of
great.
community service. So there are ways to volunteer. The best way to find out more about those opportunities is to call our office and
Okay.
find out how you could best be utilized. But yeah, there's a lot of good ways to become involved.
Okay, fantastic. And obviously, this entire program would not be where it's at without the founding mothers.
Yes.
Can you speak to about a few of those ladies?
Yeah.
My favorite being Linda Axley.
Yes.
She is just a powerhouse. Yeah.
I am just so honored. I love all of them, and over the last 6 years, I've really had the opportunity to get to know all of them. Linda Axley basically was the start.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Moore was our first executive director and spent several years at Help in Crisis. Amy Blackburn was one of our early ons, and I believe she was pretty instrumental with volunteer recruitment and training. And of course, Dina Frankie, executive director for at least 25 years.
Yeah.
But it is really very humbling and just an honor to be the one to carry the torch. I tell my staff all the time, like, this ship isn't sinking with me. Like, no way.
There you go.
So we're whatever, when we had the government shut down a couple of years ago, that was very scary. And I was like, this isn't sinking.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, because as a nonprofit, it's grants, and the grants are very, from having been on the board, you think, well, you've got a government grant, but it's very restrictive on what you
Exactly.
can spend that money on. So you can't, even if you need shampoo for, the residents, you can't spend the money on that. It has to be spent the way it's earmarked. So,
Right.
so that's why the fundraising is so important, to keep the doors on and the lights on.
It is, yeah. And it's about 25% of our budget comes from donors
Oh, wow.
and fundraising.
Yeah.
So we could, I say this all the time, we could not do the life-saving services that we provide. We could not do that without the support of our community.
Yeah. And Tahlequah has proven over and
Yes.
over again that they are so supportive, and so that's why we appreciate you coming in today, so that we can put the information below, and then that way, because people are always like, how do I get involved? How do I help? And I think that this is a great way to put them in touch with you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay.
And you've been such a great supporter too. I mean, not only being on our board, but I love the fact that you have provided the Thanksgiving and the Christmas dinners, and that's something a lot of people don't think of. And you're right, like a grant would not pay for that.
No, not
And
at all.
so,
Yeah, we
just-
were that family growing up where the church would get together and bring us food, you know what I mean? And so now to be able to give that back, I just think that's everything.
It's-
So
yeah.
I feel very fortunate to be able to do that, so.
well,
yeah.
we appreciate that, and just your constant support of any fundraiser we ever do, and just talking about us out in the community.
Well, you guys are the ones doing the hard stuff, so I can talk all day long. Well, again, thank you for taking the time. Now, is there anything that maybe we did not discuss that you would like to fill the public in on, or?
No, October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Okay, yes.
And so you'll see a lot of things happening in our communities in all 4 counties, just to bring awareness to the problem. And unfortunately, we have a big problem in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's number 2 right now in the United States for women killed by men.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So we seem to always stay in the top 5. I think there are several reasons why. That would probably be a whole nother podcast.
Okay.
But we can all do something by keeping our eyes open, and by saying something, and by educating, the people around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that starting the conversation is the number one thing, so that someone feels comfortable raising their hand and saying, I need some help, this does not seem right. Yeah, so we will definitely put those contact numbers below, so if anyone is needing to reach out. And thank you again. I know how many directions you're being pulled, because it really is 24/7 for you.
It is.
So we appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
Guys, please like, follow, and share so that we can help get this information out. And if there's anything that you would like to volunteer or donate, please reach out. They would be so appreciative, and it goes to such an amazing cause. And as always, thank you for watching.